Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today we're going to be talking about the community map project, smoke grenades, and some cool updates that have been made to the Rush game mode in the latest CTE patch. And you might be watching this footage and thinking, gosh, is this old footage of the community map project? It is, and I'm showing it to you just for a second here so you can see the difference in graphical fidelity from when the community map project pretty much first launched to what it is now. I present to you Smutsiga Serlin's Jungle Party, and apparently Smutsiga means dirty in Swedish, so David Serland, we now have to refer to you as Dirty Serlin. Sorry buddy, it's just the way the internet works. Hashtag Dirty Serlin. But shenanigans aside, check out the beauty of this map. This is the community map project, and it's probably one of the best looking maps that's in Battlefield 4 right now. It's just gorgeous, it's stunning, and it's actually a lot of fun to play on. Now we'll get to the Rush game mode later, because first I want to talk about smoke grenades, which actually affects Rush game mode pretty significantly. Since a lot of Rush games get choke pointed in certain areas, smoke grenades inevitably come out, and so do those infrared and FLIR optics, and it's kind of taken over the way that Rush has been played, and a lot of other game modes have been played these days on Battlefield 4. Now smoke grenades have been updated in CTE so that you cannot see through them with FLIR or infrared optics, which means you can actually use them as a source of cover to push up through enemy fire. One of my immediate criticisms of them is that it's still pretty easy to spot people or see people through the smoke. If you just put your crosshairs over the enemy target, you'll know exactly where they are, and I was able to shoot people through clouds of smoke, arm MCOMs, or kill people arming MCOMs simply because their name tags still show up. This is unfortunately a problem that has plagued Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 and was supposedly fixed several times over, but clearly hasn't been fixed, and I don't know if we'll ever see that 3D spotting through smoke thing fixed, because as you can see right here from this clip, I'm using it to shoot and kill someone. Now obviously CTE is beta or alpha or just an unfinished version of Battlefield, whatever you want to call it. Another criticism though of smoke grenades right now, and this is something that would easily be fixed hopefully by launch, is that they certainly kill my frame rate. And I got a pretty good computer. I even turn the graphics down in some situations to make sure I get a nice even like 140 frames per second at times, but when smoke grenades were all over the place I was seeing my frame rate drop down to around 60, which, you know, is still playable, but considering that a lot of people are going to start using them now that they're better, they better get the frame rate fixed, the optimization improved. And I might even say maybe reduce the radius of the smoke grenades a little, or maybe reduce the quantity that you can carry down to 2. They're pretty good and effective in specific situations, provided that you turn off the 3D spotting. Now they might look a little excessive in these clips here, and that's mostly because I was just telling everybody in the server to throw smoke grenades and run with smoke grenades. So we're seeing an excessive amount of smoke grenades, but I just wanted to test it out and see if it could actually be spammed to a point where it was game breaking. Certainly if everyone on the team is running with smoke grenades, it's not particularly fun, and oh my god, X Factor, you gotta change that emblem. That is just creepy, man. But when the whole team is running smoke grenades and the whole enemy team is running smoke grenades, it gets a little bit crazy. I don't imagine that'll be a normal situation, so it's a little hard to tell, but it certainly is still a very good way to push up through enemy lines. I love it, especially out in open ground for pushing territory. Throwing it on MCOMs isn't that effective as I thought it might be, just because people can spot you through the smoke. So if it says MCOM armed and there's a cloud of smoke around the MCOM, just scan over it and you will shoot somebody, kill the guy arming or disarming it. Now I played a bunch of Rush on this map, and I played a whole bunch for Squad Up, and there are some cool interesting additions to Rush. The one that is most notable and going to change up the game the most is the fact that when the attacking team destroys 2 MCOMs, basically the location at which the defending team can be in shrinks, so they can no longer be by those 2 attacking MCOMs, and it destroys spawn beacons and stuff like that. So it gets rid of the whole spawn raping situation where when you're trying to move on to the next set of MCOMs and you're still dealing with like one pesky squad that's still alive and in the backfields and messing with your team, that's no longer an issue. The only problem with it right now is that it instantly turns your screen black if you're, say, defending the MCOMs and they go off, and then it gives you like 10 seconds to get out of there and everything's black and hard to see. I believe they're trying to fix this soon, but the basic principle is implemented there, and it definitely changes things up. It just keeps the pace flowing. And I will say that as far as critiquing this map, as far as its Rush design goes, it seems like the first set of MCOMs are probably probably some of the most difficult to get to. You almost have to like control the high ground on the right or really hunker in on the left side, and even then it's pretty difficult as the attacking team. There's just so many spots for the defending team to camp, and they can actually push you all the way back towards your spawn, in which case it's really hard to get out of that spawn camp. So I think the first two sets of MCOMs need to be a bit easier, or just move the MCOMs into locations maybe a little closer to the other team. I'm not really sure, but there's a lot you could do. And then the last set of MCOMs seem to be the easiest. Every time I get there, they seem to be very easy to arm, and once you do get the arm off on them, there's a lot of really good hiding spots to just kill anybody trying to go for the disarm. So I think the first set of MCOMs are the hardest, last set are the easiest. It should basically be the exact opposite. Also, the player count seems a little bit high, even at 32 players in a rush mode, which is going to be totally insane. If anybody tries to do 64 player rush, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. I don't think 64 player rush should even be an option in Battlefield 4 in my personal opinion, but I think 32 is kind of the max you could possibly have it at, and it probably plays a lot better at something like 24 players. That would probably be the ultimate experience, because otherwise it just gets a little bit too choke pointy, and especially with some of the jungle areas, it can be very hard to wipe a squad because somebody's like hanging out behind this rock or that bush over there, and by the time you find out where they are, their whole squad has respawned on them. Ultimately though, I think a lot of my concerns can simply be addressed by either limiting the player count and just moving some MCOMs around on the rush game mode. The map itself is gorgeous. I love a lot of things about it. There are a lot of hang-ups, like windows that you have trouble jumping through and walls that seem like you could jump over and stuff like that. So as long as the collision is tightened up and like jump spots and stuff like that are fixed up a bit, I can see this easily being one of my favorite maps. Anyway, if you guys have time to get on the CTE and try it out, I highly recommend doing so. The devs still need a lot of feedback in regards to collision and that kind of bug stuff, so just to make sure that the map is as smooth and playing as nicely as possible when they launch it. As always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.